Hello, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer. I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And I got to tell you, you know what's hot in Southern California when your eyebrows start sweating. I'm not even joking when I say that. I was like having to mop my brow before we started because I would have probably leaked my makeup into my eyes and not been able to see a darn thing. But anyway, enough about all the silliness. I'm excited to announce today's guest. His name is Drew Mercouris. He is a personal trainer in Newport, California. He's been a trainer for 18 years. Let's see what else about him. He's actually really amazing. He's got a book coming out this fall. It's called Achieve Wellness. And he does pickleball and he does a pickleball prehab. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And he actually used to be a swing dancer, but he also, on top of all of the things that he does, he's a speaker. So I'm excited to bring him on. Let's talk to Drew. Welcome, Drew. How are you today?
I'm great. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I'm excited that you're here. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So I just would love for you to share a bit about yourself and your own wellness journey.
Sure. So when I was younger, I was like most young people. I didn't really have to think about my health that much. I was blessed with a good metabolism, and I was always active, and so I tended to look good and feel good for the most part. It was more to me about the aesthetics back then. I just wanted to look good, but also be able to do the things I wanted to do. And then as I started getting older, I started changing my view of things, especially what I was putting into my body. Because if people looked at me when I was younger, they would have thought I was super healthy. But I smoked cigarettes. I used to smoke marijuana. And I wouldn't always really eat that well. I just, again, had a good metabolism. So I looked good, but I didn't really feel probably nearly as good as I could have had I eaten better and taken better care of myself. So then as I got older, luckily I became a personal trainer when I was 34. And once I did that, I really cleaned up my act. I stopped smoking cigarettes, stopped smoking marijuana, really started watching what I was eating. I always tell people it puts a lot of strain on you when you're a trainer to be healthy because nobody really wants to work out with an out of shape trainer. So that's a good pressure to have, though. It really got me on track. And I also just started really getting more and more fascinated with the human body and what it's capable of, and also just how to listen to your body. And so, as I'm now 52, and about 10 years ago, 8 and 10 years ago, I had 2 knee surgeries and had to rehab from that. I've really become more and more aware of like having an open communication with my body, being more aware of what I'm putting into it, how I'm maintaining it, what's going on inside my mind and my thoughts about my body, and how everything really comes together to create overall holistic wellness.
I love the term holistic wellness, as you know. So there's a few things that come to mind is, as a trainer, there's this myth that you eat perfectly and you exercise like 80 hours a week.
Right.
What is your real life like?
My real life is like, personally, I ascribe to the 80-20 rule of eating. I definitely eat better than most people, but I'd say
Mhm.
I eat healthy about 80% of the time. As you know, I still like my donuts from time to time. Definitely love my coffee every day, a couple times a day. And, I'll eat some potato chips with a sandwich. But most of my mornings are pretty clean, like fruits and vegetables with some eggs. Lunchtime's usually good with a salad. And then, like I said, about 80% of the time eating really well. And then 20% of the time, I don't like to deprive myself. I want to enjoy life while still feeling good and looking good.
Exactly, because that's the thing with food is people forget that it's also a social thing, and it's okay to partake in some birthday cake if you're celebrating somebody's birthday. It's another thing if you're taking a whole sheet from Costco home and
Right.
eating it in the dark, with
Right.
a little.
Exactly.
There's a huge difference between
We
those
call
two
that
things.
shame eating.
Shame eating, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that term actually. So, you mentioned before that you looked good, but you probably weren't your healthiest. So, what do you think that you noticed the most about how you felt in your own skin when you started to make those healthy changes?
Let's see. It's not so, yeah, like, the thing is, it's really about like, I just being able to do the things I want to be able to do. Like now that I'm older, obviously there's a couple things I sort of gotten away from just because it would be prudent to do so. Like I don't play basketball anymore, full court or anything like
Mhm.
that. I took up pickleball instead because supposedly it was easier on the body, although it's still pretty darn tough on my knees. But yeah, just listening to my body and like really feeling not only comfortable in it, but even though I do experience some soreness and things like that from time to time, just really tending to my body. I really
Mhm.
can't stress enough, and I stress to my clients all the time, like maintenance, especially when you get older. Like just like a car, the car has more miles on it. You have to get more maintenance. When I bought my new
Mhm.
car a couple years ago, first year I had oil changes and that's it. Now I just got new tires because it's a couple years old. I had to get some work done on it, on the engine. I mean, things like that happen in your body too. So it's, being aware of it and then also addressing it and doing something about it when you're aware of it.
So you brought up that big fancy word awareness, which is kind of what I really wanted to touch on today because as you're aware, there is as you're aware, I'm gonna say it again. It's not a lack of information out there that, most people know to eat more vegetables, sleep well, drink water, lower their stress levels, but they don't really actually do it. And so it's not a lack of information is what I'm getting at. But I know a bit about your story, and when you had your knee surgeries, something interesting happened to you, and I'd love for you to share about that, and that I think will lead into our conversation a bit.
Sure. So when I had my first knee injury about 10 years ago, I tore the patella tendon in my knee, my left knee, and
Mhm.
was on crutches for a while. I was in a cast for 3 weeks, in a brace for another 6 weeks. And I just got lazy. I stopped working out because I used the injury as an excuse not to work out. I was eating fast food, like to go and fast food all the time. And in 6 months, I gained 25 pounds and my body fat doubled, and I was a personal trainer. So, like I mentioned earlier, that's not good for business. Now, the funny thing is, people don't know this about trainers. We're really good at hiding weight gain, no matter how much it is, from our clients. So, my clients had no idea, but I felt awful about myself. And the more weight I gained, the more depressed I got. I also started drinking several times a week. I mean, I just felt really bad about myself. And at first, when I realized that it was time to change, I thought, okay, well, I have to change my habits, obviously. But
Mhm.
what I've always been a big proponent of and learned at an early age is everything starts with your thoughts and your words. So before I changed my habits, I had to really uproot what was going on inside my head that was causing those habits, that was creating those results that I created. And so I
Mhm.
just started really identifying like the thoughts in my head that had created that situation. Things like, I had created a belief that I couldn't work out, even though that wasn't true. I could have totally did upper body the whole time. Plus, it
Mhm.
had been 6 months, so I wasn't even in the cast of the brace anymore. So that excuse wasn't valid. I could work my lower body now too. And then as far as eating well, I just had to start cooking more. So I started learning how to cook better and really did that. And then the really harmful ones were the really like inner critics, sort of like, what are you doing? You're a trainer. Like, how could you be so
Mhm.
stupid? And all that stuff. And I just really brought it out into my open awareness and realized that they were not valid thoughts. They were just that part of my brain that likes to, that inner critic part of yourself that beats you up sometimes. And I just started questioning all those beliefs, altering them, and really keeping my mindset where it needed to be. And then with that, the habits, it was fairly effortless. Plus, again, my job as a trainer, it made it a little easier. Plus, I told my clients what had happened and asked for their support in losing the weight.
Mhm.
I was like, I need your help. Keep me accountable. And they were awesome about it and really understanding. And so, yeah, all in all, it turned out to be a really interesting experience and positive. So,
So something that I was thinking about while you were sharing about that is, and I might be putting, because this is such a cliche term at this point, but it's really popular right now, and that's syndrome. And I'm wondering if you kind of felt like I don't know, like
I felt like a fraud.
Yeah, a fraud. You did. You felt like a fraud while you were doing this. It's like, I'm telling somebody else how to do this and I'm not doing it for
Yes,
myself. So
exactly.
I'm wondering, there's a lot of people out there that feel that way in general, even if they're doing what they need to be doing. So how did you go from, identifying those thoughts, and then how did you even see them in the first place is what I'm asking.
Well, I definitely had to get more like introspective and quiet. Because what also happens, I don't know about you, but like when I start getting involved in bad habits, whatever they may be, or getting depressed, I tend to distract myself from the pain of that depression by watching a lot of TV or, like I said, like drinking. Um, just always having something going on instead of getting quiet and really
Mhm.
looking at myself. And then how I personally got through the imposter syndrome aspect, which is pretty much what I was feeling. It didn't have a name back then, was I just admitted to my clients, because like I said, the reason I felt like a fraud is I was hiding it from my clients. Like when I did admit it to my clients, none of them had any idea. They were like, well, I thought you might have gained a couple pounds, but like you look the same. But I was just wearing black a lot. I was wearing baggy clothes. So when I told them it was 25 pounds and I pulled up my shirt and showed my stomach, they were like, no way. But once I admitted it to them, I didn't feel like a fraud anymore because I was like, all right, at least I'm being honest. And they
Yeah.
appreciated it big time. It brought us really close together. A lot of people, like you mentioned earlier, put their trainer on a pedestal. They think we always eat well and we never gain weight. We're always
Mhm.
working out. And so they saw me, I think, more human. And it really they realized I can empathize better with maybe their struggles. So personally, that's how I got rid of that. And then it was also just like really, like I said, getting quiet because I just
Mhm.
find when I don't want to think about what I'm thinking about, I just am always talking or doing something or watching TV or keeping
Distractions.
active instead of going within and sort of listening to my own brain.
Well, as you know, I worked in addiction recovery for a long time, and that's what people do. If they don't want to, I'm not saying that you were addicted to food or anything like that, but what I am saying is that it's a common behavior and it's something that most people aren't even aware of. And that's
Sure.
the one thing that, like, I would say addicts have an advantage over so-called normal people is that they have to it's gotten to the point where they have to take a look at that. So
Right. Right.
So at least you were fortunate enough that you didn't go all the way down some really gnarly path and end up there, you know?
Yeah. 25 pounds was gnarly enough.
It is, especially in such a short amount of time. And to go from being so healthy
And a short amount of
to
person, too. I'm only 5'7", so that's a lot.
that is a lot of weight. Yeah. I mean, and then, you know what to do and you still weren't doing that. So it's kind of interesting. I think that you are the perfect example of you can know everything
Yep,
and still not make the right choices at the
absolutely.
time, because that's not really necessarily a willpower sort of thing. Like, you don't get to necessarily push yourself through that. You got to really figure out what's behind it, what's behind the behavior, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you
Go to
know
the cause. Go
Exactly.
to the cause.
There's I was talking with Dr. Lane Tran the other day, and something that he said, and it really stuck with me, that I thought was absolutely amazing, was this: we were talking about, gaining weight and things like that, and how, people go and get knee surgery. Well, if they don't figure out why they gain the weight in the first place and they go get the knee surgery, they're going to gain that, even if they lost the weight and they gain it back, then they still have to get their knees fixed again because they didn't ever change
Right.
what was causing them to get that big.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
so I like that. I like the idea of becoming aware of your thoughts. It seems kind of daunting, though. Was it something that you did sort of all at once, like, both feet in, or was it kind of like, crap, I didn't even notice again?
Well, I mean, like I've always been there's one of my favorite quotes is it's usually attributed to Mahatma Gandhi, but I looked it up and actually who knows who said it originally. But basically in summation, because it's a pretty long quote, is it basically says watch your thoughts because they become your words become your actions become your habits become your character becomes your destiny. So like it all starts with thoughts. I've been exposed to this stuff since I was 20
Mhm.
approximately. So I do have luckily a background in like self-awareness. Although, it's an ongoing process. It's not like something where it's like, oh, I'm self-aware. But when I
It's a
do come
journey.
across, what was that?
I said it's a journey.
Yeah, it is
You're
a
never
journey.
done.
It is a journey. But so whenever I come across challenges in my life, I tend to look at my thoughts when I remember to do so. The problem when I gained that weight was I was not looking within. Like I said, I was just numbing. That's all. I was numbing.
Yeah.
Everything I was doing was numbing. Yeah. So
Well, something that I was thinking about as you were saying that is that a lot of the numbing comes from like obviously trying to avoid some sort of a pain, which was interesting because it's like your body just got louder and louder until you heard it. And it wasn't even necessarily physical pain. Like your body will talk to you however it can get a hold of you, like your attention. And I just think it's so fascinating how your thoughts and your feelings can actually manifest physically.
Yeah, science has proven it. I mean, science has proven that our attitudes and our beliefs, they affect our blood chemistry. It can affect your immune system. Like negative beliefs can have a negative effect on your immune system. It creates like extra epinephrine and cortisol in your body, which leads to obviously a lowered immune system and just more inflammation in your body. So I always tell people, I say, look, positive, people are always like, well, is this just positive thinking, and they always do that too. Is this just some like, Pollyanna positive thinking? And I always say, look, when it comes to your health, it's science, it's facts, it's real, it's legit. Like it's not some ethereal thing. It's proven by science that what goes on up here affects all of this.
Well, I think that people get confused. I think that they're assuming that that when we're talking about positive thinking, for example, that we're saying that all of a sudden, if they think positive, that their outside circumstances won't exist. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that your life changes automatically because you start thinking differently, but it does start changing because you're showing up differently for yourself. So it's not necessarily that, somebody can, suddenly be out of bankruptcy or somebody, they get their job back. That's not what we're getting at. We're just trying to say like how you show up to what's going on in your life changes, and therefore your experience is going to change. It's like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
No, I was just going to say, it's like that, the rain saying about how, it hasn't rained in a month. And for the farmer, it's like, woo, it's rain. Yeah, baby. And for the bride whose wedding is outdoors, it's the devil. But, the thing is, it's just rain. So, but how they perceive it is what's different. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what I was going to say when you thought I wanted to talk was, you did say like your life won't change right away, but the interesting thing is like in that moment when you do rein in your thinking and sort of direct your thoughts, it does change in that moment for you because your perception changes. So even if obviously your outside circumstances are the same, your perception of it, once you have that shift, things will just automatically start changing if you keep down that road of those kind of thoughts. When I talk about awareness in my seminars, I mentioned to people, and I do an exercise, but the exercise is designed to make people realize that when something happens to you, whether small or intense, whatever it is, two thoughts come up right away in your brain. There's two questions that we all ask, and most of us do it unconsciously. It's what does this mean, whatever it is, and what should I do? And most people don't realize it. Those questions come up. We answer them unconsciously based on our past experiences and and our beliefs that we might not even be aware of in that moment. And then we react to life in that moment from those answers that aren't really valid, as far as the direction we really might want our life to go. So if you can, in those moments, like the rain, even if you're having a wedding and it's raining. I just had one of my clients, she went to a wedding and it was like pouring rain and everybody was sad. And then all of a sudden this one lady decided to go out in the rain and just dance, and literally everybody joined her. And now it's pretty much the most memorable wedding my client has ever been to. And they changed it, just that one change. Like that woman said, what does this mean? What should I do? And she answered, instead of complain and cry, She said I should go out there and dance out in the rain, and she changed the entire wedding. And I mean, that's the power of your thinking right there.
Exactly. No, I love that. So I happen to know that you do something with your clients if they happen. You know where I'm going with this, right? I want you to
Yes.
share about that, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we talked about this last time I was on your show, but I always love saying it. My clients always get a kick out of it because they have experienced it. Because I'm always trying to implement awareness to my clients in their training. I have two rules, and I pretty much have implemented a third, but the two rules I've had for years is one, if I give them a compliment and they don't just say thank you, but they try to discount it in some way, they have to do 20 push-ups. And number two, if they make a negative comment about themselves while I'm training them, they have to do 20 push-ups. And I do that just because those words, when they discount the compliments or make a negative statement, are just their thoughts verbalized. And those are, in my opinion, somewhat negative thoughts that I want to help them become more aware of. Plus, you can always stand to do more push-ups. So.
I beg to differ, but that's just me. So I'm just curious, what is it like to work with you?
What's it like?
Yeah,
It's
I mean, do
fun.
you
It's
do group?
definitely fun. I think if you
Yeah.
ask my clients, they would say, number one, we definitely have a good time. We work hard, but we also we're always laughing. I do a lot of group trainings, like private groups and boot camps and tandems and things. But even private clients,
One-on-one.
we're always laughing. Most of my clients have become my friends over the years. I've been doing this my own business for 16 years now, 18 years total. And so they'll say it's fun. They'll say it's tough. They'll say it's always a variety. I always mix up the workouts because I believe in challenging your body in a lot of different ways. Plus, I just know people get bored with the same routine. I know I do, and I know you do. So, so I'm always trying to mix it up, always incorporate different muscle groups, always incorporate different modalities of training, definitely incorporate stretching and mobility. A lot of my clients are over 50, if not 60 or 70. So and even if you're over, 20, it's important to start young. So so I think that's what it's like to train with me.
So you do private one-on-ones, the
Mhm.
tandems, group, boot
Yep,
camps, all the things.
all the things.
All the things. And it sounds like it's not just working your body. It sounds like you get a lot of extra stuff. So I know that you do some nutrition things as well with clients.
Hmm.
But also, I guess you have this new thing that you're doing that I wanted to bring up, and it's the pickleball prehab. Since you are a pickleball obsessed person,
That's a fair statement. Five
he,
days a week,
he plays
sometimes
like
six,
5 times a week. Okay.
5 or 6 times a week. Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so you have this new program that you put together, and this is in the
Mhm.
Newport area. So for those of you who are in the area and you love pickleball as much as he does, his Facebook and Instagram handle is down below. We're also going to put up his email in just a minute so that you can reach out to him and find out more about this. But I would love for you to share what it is
Sure.
that you do during this workshop.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm in the Newport Beach area, California. But if you are watching this somewhere and you belong to a tennis and pickleball club, and you think that you'd like to bring me to your club to teach it, that is also something that can be done. But what it is it's a class. It's about an hour 15, depending on the group of people. And pickleball, like I said, it's when I first got into it, people told me it was not as tough on the body as tennis. I tend to disagree. I mean, obviously, I play a lot. I'm 52, so I might be feeling it more than some people. But it's tough on the body. So there's a lot of people tend to get injured. A lot of older people tend to play pickleball, and so there's a
Mhm.
lot of Achilles tears and ACLs and rolled ankles and things like that. So I teach a class called Pickleball Prehab, and it's group, but I can also do it as a private. And basically, it's mobility exercises, stretching, strengthening exercises, some foam rolling, things like that are help you prevent injuries playing pickleball, and also just make you a better player, because in pickleball there's a lot of lunging and squatting and running, and if you're not in good shape or you don't have great mobility, make sure your form not up to par. And so this will help you become a better pickleball player and also keep you safe too. from injury, which that way it keeps you on the court, which is, if you play pickleball, then most likely you understand the addictive nature of it. And so you want to be able to stay on the court. People are always super bummed when they get hurt. And they're like, oh my God, Drew, I'll see you in a month. I can't believe I have to take a month off. So I try to prevent that because I like people to be able to play as much as they want.
That makes sense. All right, people, that is his email. We're going to go real quickly to a commercial break, though, because it is that time. So Drew will be right back in just a moment, okay?
Awesome.
For those of you who are watching us live, thank you for being here. And to Helene, congratulations on losing 31 pounds. That's fabulous news, but we do need to go to commercials. So we'll be right back.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Are you someone who is struggling to move forward because you suffered a loss? Maybe you're even finding it difficult to complete the most basic tasks. Are you looking for a way to start enjoying life again without feeling guilty or the resistance to do so? Spiritual life coach Sarah Stockham saw a need for people who haven't learned how to grieve without putting their entire lives on pause. And so she created a program that solves this issue called Choosing Life Right Now. This program is simple and you can do it on your own. If you are ready to learn how to feel your grief while still being able to smile, to honor the sacredness of what took place as a loss, and yet still continue to live with joy, and if you'd like to take care of your whole being with grace and love, then I'd like to invite you to experience her new program called Choosing Life Right Now. Sarah is currently offering her program for the promotional price of $77, but it won't stay at this price for long. To learn more, check out her website. The address is on the screen.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, my name is Julianne Meyer. I am the host, and today's guest is Drew Mercouris. Let's bring him back on. Welcome back. How are you?
Good.
Good. So, you know what I was thinking about during the commercial break was the idea of stress, because, you know, when we were talking before, we were talking about avoiding these uncomfortable feelings, you know, it starts with stress. I mean, we're stressed out about something, or it's something that makes us anxious, those types of feelings. I'm curious, what do you do to help combat those sorts of emotions?
Well, before I answer that, one thing I do want to say, because I always mention this to people when I talk about like becoming more aware of your thoughts, and if you're not in the place you want to be, you know, try to change those thoughts and beliefs, is it's okay to feel bad. I want to make that, and it's okay to be stressed too. I'm not one of those people that if you see me all the time, just like everything's great. And, those people kind of freak me out, to be honest with you. I mean, you're a very happy person, but I've also, you get stressed out. Like, I think it's normal to get stressed out. So having said that, your question was, what do you do in those moments? Okay.
Yeah.
The first thing I always do, and what I appreciate about you that you remind me to do, is breathe. Your body really, there's getting hangry when you're hungry and angry at the same time. And that happens to me within a couple hours of not eating sometimes, but breathing, it's immediate. I mean, if you stop breathing, your body goes into freak out mode because breath is life. So even when my clients sometimes aren't breathing, I'm very connected to my clients, so I will always feel it in my chest. And even on Zoom, I'll tell my client, breathe, please. And they'll say, how did you know I wasn't breathing? It's because I feel it in my chest, and then I start to stress out. So breathing is super important. I think also just getting quiet sometimes. I probably don't do it as enough consistently as I could, where like starting my day in silence. I do try to, when I'm driving to work in the morning, I have about a 25-minute drive. I might listen to a podcast, but half the time I try to drive in silence just to get in, be in my head and sort of just be aware of my thoughts and sort of be aware of my body and just be aware of my breath. And so things like that tend to work. But definitely the first thing is breathing. Breathing is, people forget to breathe. And I'm talking from your diaphragm, like really, not from your chest. Where you breathe in, your stomach goes out. When you breathe out, your stomach goes in. Most people don't do that correctly very often.
No, they definitely don't. Something that I was thinking about too, and this is so true. So there's a saying in, I don't know if it's AA or not, but it's in that realm. And it's HALT. It's the acronym HALT, which means hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And that's for people in the early stages of recovery. So if they start to feel agitated or any sort of uncomfortable feeling, you have to look and see, are they hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And they don't make big decisions when they're any of those four things, because they know that that's an unstable position to be in. So I just think that that's a really good way to start looking and becoming aware of like your own thoughts and your feelings, because especially people in addiction, this is why I love that you talk so much about awareness, because people are really not aware, myself included. I'm not saying that I'm not, that's probably why I like it so much. But, especially in addiction recovery, it's like you have no idea. You have stopped listening to yourself 100%. You stopped listening to your body. So, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to learn what it's saying to me. And so many people, whether or not they've had an addiction issue or not, have that problem. So I'm really glad that, we're talking about that, because it's important.
I tell my clients all the time that, because when it comes to injuries, your body will let you know when it's got even the slightest of pain or potential injury. I always tell my clients, I give them this analogy. I say, look, your body all the time is tapping you on the shoulder going, excuse me, this is something you might want to look at. Excuse me. And most people just ignore those until they get the big, I'm not going to do it now, but your body yells at you and says, excuse me. And that's when you have a major injury, because you didn't listen to your body. So that is so important. I can't stress that enough, that, that's when you really have to do the maintenance, and also maybe look at any things that you're doing to cause that issue with your body.
I just think about how many times I've had clients not want to tell me about their injuries because they just want to power through. And I'm like, why are you acting this way? And then they'll tell me because they're not, performing the way that they normally would. And I'm like, there's so many other options available that aren't going to hurt you. But you just got to keep thinking, like, just because, I always love to use this example about blueberries. And when I was first trying to get healthy and I really didn't have any money, and I just knew that organic blueberries were the way to go, brain berries. and I didn't have I couldn't necessarily afford them at the time. So instead of just buying, I don't know, regular blueberries, I would just go get candy instead. Like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing, you know? It's like, I
Right.
can't afford the thing I want, so I'm going to go get this thing instead.
That's funny.
But I'm not alone. I am not weird, for being
You are
that
not.
way. And that's why I always love to share that story, because it's really funny. But
Well,
and true.
I'm lucky. Most of my clients, like I said, a lot of my clients are older, and I'm lucky because, no matter how good a trainer I am and how, aware they are and conscientious they are of doing things right, both with me and on their own. As you get older, you're going to have some nagging stuff. I mean, me from playing pickleball 5 days a week, my rotator cuff is, has some issues. My knees get inflamed sometimes, but I'm lucky. My clients do a really good job of letting me know what's going on. I always tell them if something doesn't feel right, and they know by a certain amount of time working with me where they're supposed to feel certain exercises. I say, let me know. And thank God they almost always do. And I always offer, like you said, there's always optional exercises to do. So it's
So
super important.
what would you say to the person who, is stuck inside the belief that maybe they're not athletic or they're not good enough, like they need to lose some weight before they go to the gym, for example, which I hear all the time, and I just find that so fascinating. What would you say to somebody who, and I'm not trying to discount these people's feelings, because it's very valid, and they're not alone. But I want people to feel comfortable and know that they're not being looked down upon when they go to the gym, even if they feel uncomfortable in their skin. What would you say to somebody that maybe is struggling with that?
A few things. And it's funny you say that, because I remember, I'll never forget, I had somebody say to me, Drew, I really want to train with you, but I have to get in shape first. And I told him, I said, okay, not to discount your feelings, but that's silly. Just so you know. I said, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But the important things would be, number one, obviously, if you're looking to lose weight, I would look at your food first. That goes without saying, but I'm still going to say it. But when it comes to working out, whether it be with a trainer or not, the second thing is, if you want to get off on a good foot, think about what you like to do. Okay. I always tell people, because they say, Drew, I'd work out with you, but I don't like working out in a gym. And I'll say, fine, what do you like to do? And sometimes it's swimming or pickleball or walking even, or whatever it is, biking. And I'll say, great, do that. So if that's the first thing. Second thing is, if they do want to try a gym, or at least open to it, be careful what gym you pick. The nice thing is, the last, I'd say, probably 10 years, the idea of a gym as a self-contained community has really become a topic and a thing out there, which is nice, because, the old typical gyms, that are behemoths, they're kind of going out of style, especially after COVID. A lot of people want something a little more personal, where hundreds and hundreds of people aren't going through the gym. And it's more of like, everybody sort of in the gym knows each other, and when new people come on, they're very welcoming, and they're very patient with them, and they're very helpful to them. I can't tell you how many times I've had some groups and a new person joins the group, and I'll be working with somebody else on the other side of my little gym, and I look over, and one of my other clients is helping the new person say, oh no, you want to get your butt back, and Drew says this. And that, to me, I used to be a control freak and be like, I'll help them, I'll take care of it, and now I realize that's, as long as they know what they're talking about and they're giving good advice, I love that now. I think it's awesome. It's super welcoming. The person appreciates it. So that would be my other advice, is try to, find a gym where they're welcoming new people, and they're helpful, and they're patient, and they're also very strict on form, which I am as well, because you don't want to get injured, because then you'll just get discouraged and probably not go back.
Exactly. Something else I was thinking about that I'd like to add on to that is, if you're that self-conscious going to the gym, think about how everybody else is feeling. Most people are so busy worrying about themselves, they don't even notice you anyway.
Yes.
And anybody who is going to judge you negatively feels badly about themselves. So, that has nothing to do with you anyway.
Yep.
So, I always like to bring that up too, because sometimes you can't always afford to go where you would want to go. Like, I'm not trying to throw Planet Fitness under the bus, but
Right. Not a big
it's
fan
inexpensive to
not a
go
big
there.
fan personally, but I know it's affordable. So
It's very affordable, and they do have, good equipment in there.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I just, it's not necessarily the best gym to go to, but if that's what you can afford and that's where you can go, then hey, you know what? You make it work for you. It comes back to that awareness and like how you're going to choose your thoughts around something. So,
yes,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, absolutely.
So, so I'm just thinking too is what about water? People talk about water and stuff, and how important is it, would you say, or like even the quality of water?
The quality is super important, but and the amount is important. To keep your joints lubricated and just like it's. I think what's the percentage of water we are? You always quote that
60%
60%. Okay,
minimum.
yeah. So we're
Minimum. We're
60%
supposed to be.
water, and staying hydrated is always super important. A lot of when it comes to nutrition and even water intake, there's a lot of different uh, lines of thought out there.
Hmm.
A lot of times you'll hear like a gallon a day. I try to be uh, helpful, but also realistic. To drink a gallon of water for most people is not realistic. I tried it a couple times. I'm already in the bathroom a decent amount because I'm over 40, but I was in the bathroom like all day. Plus, I felt bloated. It was just, anyway. If you can do a half gallon of water, in my personal opinion, I think you're doing better than most people. Definitely try to do natural water, not like just flavored water or something like that. And then we drink alkaline water, which we find really good. So we go to a water spot that actually filters it's themselves and everything, and it's not that expensive. So yeah, so water's super important, and the quality of the water is important.
I agree. And a little factoid too: 2/3 of Americans are chronically dehydrated. So
Makes
that's
sense.
a lot of people that don't drink enough water. And it's
Yeah.
like one of the easiest ways to be healthy. And if you want to lose weight, that's one of the quickest ways to help yourself is to drink more water.
Oh,
So
and another thing too is if you eat a lot of high water content foods like fruits and vegetables,
it counts.
that helps. Yeah, I mean definitely fruit like watermelon. Oh my god,
Yeah, it
yeah,
all counts. Plus, if
that'll
you're
help.
eating it
Yeah,
instead of juicing it, well, it's okay to juice it, except for like fruit, you have to be careful with because you miss out on the fiber. But if you're going to
correct.
do a green juice, then it's okay.
Right.
But yeah, it's all of that is water. So it all counts, which is pretty awesome.
It is.
So what would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions about health and wellness?
I think probably one of the biggest is that there's a lot of people believe there's like a one size fits all mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And the older I get and the more people I work with, the more I realize there couldn't be anything further from the truth. And that's why people get frustrated, is because they see like the most popular new nutrition book out there or something that says, this is how you're supposed to eat. And then they try and they feel bad and they either don't lose weight or even gain weight, or they just have low energy, or so that to me is the most important thing. And it gets back again to listening to your body. I mean, just do. It's so easy. You can go to like a skin doctor and they can
Mm-hmm.
expose you to different things on your skin and see what you're allergic to.
Mm-hmm.
You can pretty much do some of that stuff on your own when it comes to like eating. If you really isolate certain foods for a couple days and see how you feel, just go like realize, you feel your body and go, okay, I don't really do well when I eat red meat, so maybe I should not eat red meat. Or if I have too many dairy products, I get super bloated. Or if I have whey products, like there's certain protein drinks that I used to love and I wanted to get extra protein, but
Mm-hmm.
I would just they'd make me toot all the time. So, and they'd make me belch, and my stomach was just a little, yeah, So I stopped drinking them, and I get my
Yeah.
protein in other forms where I'm not as gassy. So, but yeah,
Well,
listen to your body. Listen to your body. See how your body
exactly.
responds personally.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the gassy thing too, because a lot of people don't realize that when they start eating healthier, they might have more gas in the beginning because their body's getting used to having more fiber.
That's true. That is a good
So,
point.
you know,
Yes.
it does, you will stabilize.
Yeah, give that a few more days than just a couple, because you're totally right about that.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things you don't want to give up on because your body is just like, wait a second, what, I can do this? Like, what is all this stuff that
So guys, tell your spouse, hey, honey, give me a week. I'll try to do it when you're not around. And yeah,
Yeah, that would be polite.
absolutely.
So, what are some like really easy at home fixes that people can do maybe in their kitchen or like as far as working out, like little, I don't know, life hacks for just like changing into a
Are
more
you talking
healthier
about
lifestyle?
exercise or food?
Either, I don't care. I'm just curious what you would like to share.
Well, the great thing about today's world is you can go to YouTube for a lot of stuff. So for
Mhm.
exercises, I mean, I have a couple body weight workouts myself on YouTube, and you gotta know there's a ton of stuff out there. You definitely want to watch the source you're going to. Make
Mhm.
sure that they're legit and that they focus on form, and they tend to know. Maybe you can always ask me, even if you don't want to do my workouts, and see what I think of the whatever you're looking into, if
Mhm.
it's a legitimate source. You can also a lot of times look at the comments on a lot of the videos, and some people will say like, hey, I tried this and I got hurt, and this guy or this woman doesn't know what they're talking about. Of course, you want to look at a lot of comments to make sure it's not just a couple
Haters.
negative Nancy's and so forth. But yeah, so as far as workouts, it can be simple things like stretching on your own, and again, this videos for all that on YouTube, I would say. And then cooking wise, I have a lot of resources. If anybody's looking to learn how to cook better, just hit me up on my email that you see on the screen. I'll be more than happy to refer you to several people. And if you're looking for a nutritionist, obviously Julianne's an awesome nutritionist. So yeah,
Beady
that's what I would
beady
say.
beady bum bum.
I had to
That
do it
joke's
once,
for,
right?
that's for Drew and I. That's a little inside joke. Anyway,
Yes,
for those of you who don't know what I just was referring to.
yes.
Anyway. No, I like that idea though, of even just hitting up YouTube to see different ideas. For me, I would say my biggest tip would be, if there's a certain, this is the thing I hate is when, say, like you're with people and they're like, oh, one bite won't hurt you. And that might be true. If you can have that one bite, then by all means, enjoy yourself, enjoy it, love it. But what about the 15 to 20, or 1,000 other bites afterwards that you're not going to eat because you tasted that? You started the phenomenon of craving.
Right,
So you've got to be aware of how you work as a person
right.
and not try again, hoping it'll be different the next time.
Yeah, and a good tip along those lines is once you're done watching this show, go to your pantry and your fridge and see what's in there. And
Yes.
if there's some bad stuff that you might be tempted to eat at some point today or tomorrow, take those, then just throw them away. Because what I do, one of the, I mentioned earlier, sometimes I'll eat potato chips. But
Mm-hmm.
a habit I got into, and kind of gotten away from it, to be honest, to be totally honest. But I used to buy, when I knew I was going to have a sandwich at home, I made my own sandwich as opposed to buying it from a Subway or something. So I at least have a quality sandwich, and then I'd buy just a small bag of chips from 7-Eleven or something. But the second I got out of 7-Eleven, I'd open it up, and I know it's a waste of food, but I would grab the bottom half of the bag and then dump the top half in the garbage outside of 7-Eleven. So I knew I would only eat half a bag of chips, because when it comes to willpower, that's still something that I work on. So, but I know myself because I'm aware at least of that. And so little tricks like that. So let's say you
Yeah.
have some bad stuff in your pantry and you don't want to throw it all out. Just get pour some water on part of it, throw it in your garbage. Then you can't get back to it. And then, if you have a couple potato chips or something, or a couple
Yeah.
cookies in your pantry, no big deal.
Or
80
even
20,
just
80
putting
20.
it, yeah, or maybe moving it so it's not so easy to get to.
Yeah, that too.
That helps too. If you just can't bring yourself to throw it out for whatever reason,
Right.
then
Or
move
give
it
it to
to what.
somebody. If you don't want to waste food, give it to your neighbor. I mean, obviously, it's not a good influence on your neighbors, but we're talking about you right now. So
It's all about you, right? So we're running low on time. I'm just curious if there's anything that maybe you wanted to share with the audience that maybe we haven't talked about yet, or even something that you'd like to reiterate.
yeah, I mean, I guess just a little bit of a plug. Like, so you mentioned my pickleball prehab. Obviously, my training is a big part of my vocation now, but I'm doing more and more speaking now, like personal development
Mhm.
speaking. So yeah, just putting it out there that if you have an organization or your company has speakers come in, that I would love to present some workshops. I have a workshop called the Self-Awareness Transformation Workshop, and then I have another one called Healthy Mind, Healthy Body. And so I would love to present for any of your organizations out there or companies, or if you know of anybody, feel free to DM me on Instagram or Facebook or email me. And I would love to come speak to you and your colleagues.
I love that. And something I touched on in the very beginning, you have a book coming out.
Oh, right. Forgot about that. Yeah. So
So
both of us, we were part of an anthology book called Achieve Wellness that should be coming out. What is that, a few months? Is that
the
coming out?
soft open or the soft launch is in October,
Okay, sweet.
but
Yeah.
not
So
hard.
this is an anthology book. It's our first time, both of us being published, so we're super excited. And so if you want to reserve a copy of the book, let us know, and we'll do that for you as well.
Yep. And I was just curious, could you share a little bit about what your chapter is about?
Big surprise! It's about self-awareness. So yeah, I definitely do recount the whole story of what happened when I had my knee surgery. And then I get into also that exercise that I do in my seminar that I mentioned that really helps to help you become a little more aware of what you're thinking about in certain moments. And then lastly, talk a little bit about goal setting and just the type of questions you're asking yourself. I talk about the difference between reaction and creation, living a life of reaction and living a life of conscious creation. So it's
Ooh,
pretty information packed chapter.
I like it, but there's also some story in there too. So
Yeah.
it's not dry.
No, it's not dry.
I love that.
It's
Well, Drew,
moist.
I just want to
It's
pop
great.
up your website, or not your website, I'm sorry, your Facebook and your Instagram one more time,
Great.
so
Thank
that
you.
people, if they didn't get a chance, they can take a look at that. And then is it easier for them to get a hold of you this way or through your Gmail?
Either way, honestly, I probably check my Instagram and Facebook more than my email, but I do check it like at least once every other day. So
And you're willing to answer questions too, correct?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So here's an offer I'll make to people, and the funny thing is, I've probably done this 10 times in the last 5 years, and only one person has followed through. So if you are looking to lose weight, I tend to have people DM me on Instagram and Facebook, and especially if they think they can't afford training or something, they'll ask for help, and I'll say I'll be more than happy to help you, but first you have to keep a journal, a food journal, for 2 weeks and show it to me at the end of 2 weeks, and I'll be more than happy to help you tweak it and help you lose weight. And I've offered that probably at least 10 times, and only one person has ever followed through. So if you're one of those people and you want a little kickstart and you don't think you can afford a trainer, or you just need some help, I'd be more than happy to make that offer to you guys.
I like that. Well, Drew, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your wisdom with us. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.
A few minutes.
Bye.
Bye.
And that is all of the time that we have for today. Thank you for being here with us. We'll be back on, what day is this? Thursday. So on Monday with Craig Tomatini. He's going to be talking about the wellness of your business. Hey, we spend 2/3 of our lives working. We might as well enjoy ourselves while we're there, right? So we'll see you then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.